Okay, Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Stani here with Dr. Akbar Chaudhry. Apologies, we've been having some technical difficulties from the show that we had going. I think it was cancelled up about 2-3 minutes ago. So we've managed to get this one up now. So we're going to carry on. If you did post questions in the previous one and you've joined this one, please post the questions again and we'll endeavor to answer them. Just picking up on one of the questions that we had in the previous show about the test captaincy and whether we actually have systems in place to groom the captains from an early age or not. What do you think to that, Dr. Akbar?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things I mentioned. I don't think we're good enough at it. Again, if you compare it with England, so obviously we live in England. England pretty much always have a captain and a vice captain. They identify really early who the next captain is going to be. It was obvious it was going to go from Atherton to Hussein, from Hussein to Vaughan, from Vaughan to Strauss eventually, and then Strauss to Cook. Whereas obviously with us, it's a little bit more. I think we just end up giving it to the most senior player, kind of regardless of whether he's a very good captain or not. I mean, Yusuf was captain for a while. I don't think he was a particularly good captain. Yunus was captain for a while when he wanted to be. It was all just been, and then obviously you go back to the 90s, we used to have a captain every series. So it's just something we need to give thought to if we want to kind of keep up with the rest of the world, really. And there's a question there about not playing enough test matches.
Yeah, that we have too much to start. So I think that when I saw that question in the previous show, instantly I just thought of the World Test Championship, the championship that's been on for the past couple of years. And I think even when you look at that format, there are some teams that play quite a few 5 test match series, and there are some that play 2 test match or 3 test match series, and that obviously plays into it. Now, obviously, I get that there's broadcast issues, money, there's financial issues, funding, etc. But when you look at some team, the more you play, the better you get. Basically, the less you play, you struggle to stay at that optimum level all the time. So that obviously definitely plays into it. So I think, as the Bray says, the too much stop-start. Definitely agree with that. It's something that's not just going to hinder Pakistan, but it's going to be working against a number of other teams that are having to do that.
Well, yeah, there's a very obvious divide, isn't there? You've got the kind of the haves and the have-nots. So let's be honest, if it was up to England, India, and Australia, they'd all just play each other in 5 test series all year long, and let the likes of Pakistan, Sri Lanka, the West Indies play each other. Every once in a while, they probably want South Africa or New Zealand to get involved. But essentially, you look at the sheer numbers, you look at the venues of all the kind of the big tournaments as well. Australia, India, and England. Way out ahead of everyone else. So, I mean, unfortunately, they're the kind of the market forces that dictate these things. I guess the only other thing I would say is that it would help if Test cricket was marketed a bit better in Pakistan or the Emirates. Obviously, it's difficult where we were, but even Sri Lanka, West Indies, Zimbabwe, New Zealand, not many people turn up to watch Test cricket, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, you look at England in the test grounds, pre-COVID, they generally have about 60, 70, 80% attendance. Whereas, as you say, you look at some of the other the grounds in some of the other countries, there's low attendance there. So there are obviously a number of other factors that people need to consider. But it just reminded me of something that I saw a couple of weeks ago. I saw a boy and he was wearing an England World Cup top from 2019. And I thought to myself, it's been months and months and months since I've seen anyone wear an England World Cup top. And it just made me think about when England actually won the World Cup back in July, I think it was. There was no open top bus parade. There wasn't any, big hoo-ha. There wasn't like a big thing made about it at all. And I thought that was surprising. The first time that England have won the World Cup, they didn't do anything about it. And you think about when England won the 2005 Ashes, which was an amazing series, and all the plaudits and everything that happened after that. Here, there's just nothing, and it was such an amazing opportunity to actually drive that in from the ground up. Go into the infrastructure, go through the clubs up and down the country. But I don't think any of that was done. So I think that it's not something that just affects the 2-3 test series playing countries. I think it is something that even affects the big 3, really, how much money is pumped into the games, unfortunately. Just coming on to one of our other features where we look at the who won each session. So if we have a look at the first session, so we started this morning at 24 for 3. Azhar Ali was there with 4 runs. And by the end of lunch, we'd played 11.1 overs and we were 41 for 4. Azhar Ali had 10 and Fawad Al-Alam had 5. So in 11 overs in the first session, we had 17. We made 17 runs for 1 wicket. Do you think that that was England session, or do you think that that was Pakistan session?
Yeah, very much England, very much England session, I think. Obviously, that's why I was a little bit fearful last night. I thought we might just fall over in a heap this morning. So yeah, very much the blue one there, the England session.
So just to counter that, then, Doctor, do you think that? I mean, there were only 11 overs played in that, and yeah, we lost a wicket, but we didn't lose any more. And I think that we only scored 17, so we weren't expecting to score a 6 and over then either. But I think the thing that we avoided was having a massive collapse. So do you still think it's evens?
I mean,
Just putting the pause in view to you there.
yeah, no, I mean, maybe a slight consolation. We didn't lose 2 or 3, but we still lost technically one of what's supposed to be one of our best batsmen, our number 5 batsman. So, yeah, unfortunately, probably England session. Sorry.
Bye. Okay, moving on to the second session then. So at tea, Pakistan were 158 for 5 in 60 overs, and in that session, there were 38 overs bowled, and we scored 117 runs for the loss of 1 wicket for Fawad Alam. What about that session, Doctor?
Oh, I'm interested to get your views, but I think very much our session, wasn't it? I mean, that was a session where it was a long session. So I think lunch. I think they came back at about 1:40 or something. I can't remember now. Maybe even before that, 10 past 1. So it was a long session from 10 past 1 until 3:55. So that's almost 3 hours of cricket, and to only lose 1 wicket, yeah, definitely our session.
Yeah, I mean, Fawad played. I think he played something like 70, 80 balls. So to actually stay there and face off that many balls when he was under immense pressure himself, then when he went for Rizwan to come in, and he ended on 22, but I think he played obviously a considerable amount of the balls as well in that session. But yeah, I think that one I would definitely give it to Pakistan. So sorry, England. Okay, we're at 1-1 now, coming into the crucial last session. So at the end of the day, we were out 273 all out in 93 overs. Azhar Ali ended up on 141. So what do you make of that session then?
I think where we were at tea, I think I know another long session. So we came back at 4:15, could have played till 7:30. So 3 hours. I think if we were still batting, maybe 8 or 9 down in our first innings, I'd give it to us. I think the fact that England have got those wickets, they've got us back in again. Just England session, or I would take it, or I'd call it even. Let's say that maybe.
I think that's fair. I mean, we scored 115 runs in that session off, I think it was 33 overs. So again, it was another long session. So I mean, bear in mind that obviously, when we lost 1 or 2 more wickets, we were into our tail. So
Yeah,
the fact that we lasted all the way to the end, and that the worst thing I suppose would have been that if our innings had finished at half an hour earlier, and then we came in, the light was diminishing. You had openers coming in who, even if Azhar came out with them then as well, you still would have had Sean Masood, who's short of confidence. Losing 1 or 2 wickets, then that would have been it. So I think that I'd be happy to say that that's even. So there you have it, viewers. It's 2-2. So from the last time when I was on, I think England won 3-1. So we are definitely improving. Is all I can say about that. Okay.
There's a comment about being harsh. Yeah, maybe. Sorry, I think when you lose 1 wicket in one session and then 1 wicket in another session and then 5 in the last one, maybe that's coloured my thinking. But you're right, we've got a long tail and that could have been over really quickly. But I think we survived till 93 overs. So 13 overs with the new ball, the tail managed to face, which is not bad. And actually, I was a little bit annoyed actually because suddenly it went from being absolutely fine to play to it's bad light. And you think, well, hold on a second. If the light was bad, why didn't we come off 20 minutes, half an hour earlier? Why did it suddenly mean that a change of innings suddenly got? And the Sky guys said that apparently it had got dark quite quickly. I'm not sure about that. It almost like they've gone from one extreme of taking us off to right, we're going to stay out even longer than we should now.
Yeah, I don't understand the rules that they have for bad light, for rain, for inspections and all that. The only thing I'll say, and I've tweeted about this a number of times in the past week, is that look at Sri Lanka. That is your benchmark. when a test match happens, because I think they play generally in their monsoon season anyway, they'll hire, I don't know if it's 20, 30 people. They'll have covers that cover the whole pitch. When it starts raining, they'll run on. It takes them 5-10 minutes to cover the whole pitch. When it stops raining, it takes them 10 minutes to take them off, and they start playing. Then there's no, we have to wait 3 hours for the pitch to dry, or we have to pay tens of thousands of pounds for some super soaker stopper machines or anything like that. It's just a complete waste. It's such, sometimes the simplest ideas are always the best. So I don't know why they won't implement that. I've tweeted Chris Broad as well. So if you're watching, Mr. Broad, I've given you the solution. Okay. Saad Malik says Pakistan session to see the day out. Definitely, I think we've covered this when we were using our very expensive Lego bricks to see who won each session on there. And Saad goes on to say Doc Harsh here. I'm not sure what Saad is replacing to, but Doctor, you've been a bit harsh.
Me not giving us the last session. Maybe that's the. I was a bit disappointed that we weren't 7 or 8 down, but I'm being a bit greedy there. So yeah, no, take that. Fair enough.
Sorry. I think the other thing to mention is that in that last session where Anderson needed, I think it was 3 more wickets to get to his 600, and it's like there were 3 catches. There were I think there were 3 different batsmen as well, Azhar, Abbas, and I think it was Yasser as well. Might be wrong on that one.
On the seam at the end, possibly. Yeah.
Yeah. But they were all easy catches, straightforward, and for them just to be dropped, I can't imagine what it must have been like to be Anderson that point. I think at one point he had 2 dropped in 1 over, and that was a shocker. Broad dropped 1 as well, and then 5 minutes later he walked off the pitch. I wonder what was said then.
Yeah. Just very quickly on the subject of catches, this game, and everyone who's watching here, all of us, we love this game. I love cricket, and it's just sometimes you just don't know what's going to happen. Josh Butler at the start of the summer couldn't buy a run, couldn't take a catch. He took 2 down the leg side today, and it just shows that when it's your day, it's your day, and no amount of analysis and technical stuff. Sometimes it's just, in this great sport, it's just a bit of luck that goes your way. And I don't know how he held on. The one that I think the one at the end, I think the Shaheen one, I think down the leg side was an amazing take.
Yeah.
And you just know 3 weeks ago he wouldn't have taken that. But that's cricket. You just can't legislate for those things sometimes.
Yeah. And then Tabre says, I agree with Saad, keeping in mind the weather for the next couple of days, which doesn't seem good at all. Seeing the day out means we possibly save the test. So yeah, it's a test match. It was a test match saving session. And as I mentioned, if you think back to where we were 24 hours ago, I mean, the WhatsApp group, social media that I was looking at, there were Pakistan fans that were having a meltdown. Who thought that we were going to get to this position? So yeah.
But we've got to do it all again tomorrow. So the hard work is the hard. I mean, sometimes we get a little bit overexcited with the hundreds and stuff in the dressing room and cake cutting and all that kind of stuff. The job is not even half done, and there's a 70% chance of rain tomorrow, I think, and there's a 90% chance of rain on Tuesday. So the forecast is in our favour. We've got to make sure we bank on that kind of luck and cash in on it to try and stay in this game. It'd be great if we can avoid defeat and bat out another 90 odd overs like we've done today. Brilliant. You won't hear me or any Pakistan fan, proper Pakistan fan, complaining anyway.
Yeah. I think just that you mentioned about the proper Pakistan fan is that last night I saw so many comments saying that this person needs to be dropped, that person needs to be dropped, we need to bring this person in from domestic, why is this person a coach, why is this person the batsman, whatever. And I think that we just fall to the blame game so easily, and that sometimes you just got to stand back and appreciate the opposition. Crawley played brilliantly. You've obviously got Anderson, Broad on the other side, backed up by Archer, who's bowling at 90 miles an hour plus. You've just got to stand back and just say, clap for the opposition. So, yeah, it was to anyone watching this who thinks that we should drop, various players.
Well, it was Naseem and Shaheen were getting it big time. I think
Naseem and Shaheen were
ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, we've always said that winning away from home is always the hardest thing. We're away. We're away at home. We're away here in England. We've got, I'm not even going to use a young team excuse here, but we are away. So the fact that we in the first test we competed, we were on top for 3.5 days. I think everyone would agree on that. It just shows that we can be competitive here. And look what we did today as well. So, give the team breathing space. We've got the Bangladesh test coming up. We've got the New Zealand series as well. Sometimes we're going to do great, sometimes we're not going to do great. But back your team always is all I can say. So I think Tabrezi says that Butler's been watching Rizwan. So I don't know, I don't know whether this is obviously a joke or not, but just the fact that we can say that statement, that we've got a keeper that's another team can look at to try and emulate.
In
When
these
was the last
conditions,
in these
in
conditions?
these conditions where the
Yeah,
ball moves around so much in the air.
yeah. When was the last time that we were able to say that? And that's why I'm saying that anyone who says that we should drop Rizwan in test for Safrazi, yeah, what are you playing at?
No.
Saad says, before you go, your view on Barber, not to criticize him, but by his standards, what are your thoughts? I'll give that one to you, Doctor.
He hasn't had the tour he would have wanted. He hasn't had the tour that some of us expected. But equally, before this year, I think he played one innings in England in Test cricket in England. That was the 60 odd he got at Lords before. I can't remember who bowled. Was it Stokes that broke his hand, or Wood? I can't remember. Someone injured his hand, didn't they, in that Test back at Lords? So he's not been amazing. But equally, he is young enough and he's good enough to learn from what's happened. He's had a couple of really good balls. So the one that Broad got in with in the previous test that just caught the outside edge, and the one that Anderson got in with yesterday, they would have got a lot of players out. So yeah, I think he's been average and nothing more, but he'll be better in the future. We've got a gem there, haven't we?
Definitely. Okay, and Saad says, agreed with both of you on giving our team time. Yep. So one question that we had in the previous session that I've remembered is from, I don't know if this is a relative of yours, Dr. Akhtar Chaudhry, I think it was. Yeah. So Akhtar said, can we have some positive comments about the team? What is there positive to say about the Pakistan team?
This might sound silly, but honestly, given what happened yesterday, a positive is we didn't lose today. And it's not just Pakistan. I mean, the West Indies, Sri Lanka, even Australia. Australia have been bowled out here for 60, 70 in the past few years. It would not have been outside the realms of possibility that we were bowled out for 75 this morning and then 120 by the close of play. It's happened to us before. It's happened to lots of teams before. So the fact that we fought all day, almost batted out the whole day, and might, with a bit of luck, have a chance of saving the game, that's a positive. And obviously the form of our captain. It's so difficult for a captain to tell anyone else what to do when his own form is bad or he's not scoring the runs. And you saw how happy the team was for Azad. Actually, I quite like that moment. You could tell that they were really, really happy for him. So there's a few positives. We need to, the players that have failed on this tour, hopefully the young ones, or are failing on this tour, as long as they're learning and they'll be better off next time, that's all you can ask for.
Yep. And then just finishing off on Barber from Tabriz, where he says he's been disappointing by his own standards, possibly playing a little too aggressively. I think all our batsmen could learn from Sean's innings in the first test, Sean included. So I think what I remember about that innings, that although Sean did play brilliantly to get the 150 odd, I think there were a couple of chances he gave to Butler, who obviously didn't have the best of games himself behind the stumps. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I know, I agree. He did get a bit of luck. So the thing is, England learned from that Shan innings as well. And so what happened was, where they were feeding him fourth and fifth stump, which is how they got him out on the last tour, and he was just letting it all go. He left amazingly. The past two or three, they've got it nipping in, and they've caught him LBW. So Shan needs to realise that when he comes up with a plan to counter England, England will then come up with a plan to counter what he's doing and bring a few back into his pads. Barber, in terms of being aggressive, I think just because of his one-day form, it almost feels like he wants to always get bat on ball. He's not a great lever sometimes, so that's why he gets a bit kind of flirty outside off stump. But they could learn from Shan in terms of leaving outside off stump. But don't just think when you get 100, that doesn't mean you've cracked it and that you'll always get hundreds in England. England will come back at you with a new plan, which is what's happening. Shan now needs to counter that, because that's what Test cricket opponents work you out. You can't just play one way forever.
Yep, definitely. Okay, and then on that we've had at least Asad will be removed from the squad by Mohammed. So I think we have covered that in detail in the previous previous broadcast that we did. So just want to end with so as you can see, bad light is definitely stopping play here. I'm out in my garden. Yeah, it's gone pitch black out here. So just to close this off, so we played brilliantly today. I think that everyone's going to agree on that. We bowled out for 273 runs. We trailed by 310 runs. So tomorrow it will be Adar Ali and Sean Masood who come out to bat if there is any play at all. That is, I was checking the forecast earlier, and there is going to be a lot of rain throughout the day tomorrow in Southampton. But as we've said, there are definitely positives to take from our performance today, and that's what I'd really like everyone to take from this. So, inshallah, we will see you all tomorrow for this show. You'll have your the normal host, Imi. Imi will be back hosting. Thank you very much, Doctor, once again for stepping in, and thank you for doing all the research. Thank you to all the viewers who tuned in. Thank you for all your questions, and as always, stay safe. And Pakistan's Zindabad.
Take care.